Hello and welcome. I am Esma Karabulut. The model, which is integrating ESG into corporate governance and risk management in Islamic finance, has 4 sessions. In the first session, I'm going to discuss ESG and governance and risk management from an Islamic finance perspective. As you know, it is imperative for Islamic financial institutions to establish a Shariah board or committee to supervise their operations and ensure that they adhere to the Islamic standards that differentiate them from conventional finance. This gives a peace of mind that their money will be treated in a way that complies Islamic law. According to moral economy, Islamic moral economy, Islamic institutions are not only required to adhere to Islamic principles when conducting business, but also strive to enhance the quality of life for individuals. As a result, Islamic institutions should have 2 objectives. One objective is to generate revenue, while the other is to provide assistance to individuals. In other words, there should be a balance between profit and justice. In practice, Islamic banks focus on compliance with Sharia, both legally and operationally. This is expected since they operate as profit-oriented institutions on behalf of their shareholders. However, it is also essential that they reflect Islamic ethical values, particularly in their conduct and customer relations, without confusing this with charitable acts which fall outside their fiduciary and legal responsibilities. In 2011, Ahmed Habib argued that most people think Islamic banking has failed to meet its social and moral goals. To quote Musa Muhammad Adil, 2011, the current literature on Islamic finance and Islamic business ethics lacks an assessment of the extent to which Islamic institutions enforce the ideal ethical forms of Islam. To address these shortcomings, modern Sharia governance models have evolved to include internal compliance, review, and audit units. These units play a critical role in ensuring that day-to-day operations adhere to Sharia principles while incorporating ESG considerations. For instance, in Pakistan and Bahrain, regulatory frameworks mandate external Sharia audits, ensuring transparency and enhanced compliance. These mechanisms provide a practical way for Islamic financial institutions to improve their ethical responsibility and better integrate sustainability goals into their risk management process. And many writers have noted that Islamic banks do not uniformly adhere to Islamic principles. This is especially true when we look at Islamic moral economy standards for social responsibility. They discovered that Islamic banks develop a culture of taking on debt in the same way that conventional banks do. This is because debt-based instruments like murabaha, meaning cost plus profit, or al-baybi saman ajil, which implies deferred payment sale, and others are the most common way for Islamic banks to get money. In fact, sometimes they make up more than 70% of the bank's balance sheet. This shows that Islamic banks would rather use the neoclassical method of profit maximization than the community development approach, nurtured by Islamic moral economy. Based on the current data, the most dominant models for financing within Islamic banks are murabaha and tabarruk, as you know. These are fixed return financing models, followed by ijara. Ijara means it's to give something on rent. However, the scarcity of profit and loss sharing models raises concerns regarding the credibility of Islamic banks in fulfilling the mandates of Islamic principles. When we look at the real-world studies, they have raised concerns that the Islamic moral economy is not achieving its objectives. When we look at studies by Asutai and Harningstai 2015, Rosidiana and Firmanche 2018 and Antonio et al. 2012 show a lack of environmental, social, and governance responsibility. They also pointed out that the expected positive impacts of Islamic financial intermediaries on wider stakeholders were not being witnessed. People often use these kinds of good results as an argument in favor of Islamic banking institutions. Besides poor ESG performance, many researchers have also noticed that significant variations in the social performance among Islamic banks. To sum up, in Islamic banks, the Shariah board or committee plays a crucial role in ensuring that the Sharia law is adhered to, significantly influencing the shape and the direction of Islamic finance and corporate governance. Let us now explore how the characteristics of the Sharia board and Islamic governance systems impact the ESG success of Islamic banks. Understanding these can help a bank to improve its ethical responsibility and overall performance.